Back in May 2013, Edward Snowden flew to Hong Kong and revealed classified documents to journalists from The Guardian and The Washington Post. The gist of the classified documents showed that the NSA was spying on U.S. citizens, something that Snowden felt was specifically against the law. The NSA and CIA were created to spy only on foreign entities. Though cybersecurity people like me knew that spying was quite likely being done by three-letter agencies outside of their stated mission, we did not have specific proof. We could just assume that it happened, but it was difficult to spur people to raise their awareness when everything sounded theoretical. Snowden changed that. Many people were flabbergasted at the amount of spying that was being done by three-letter agencies off their own citizens. But some others thought it was fair in response to the terrorist threats since 9/11/2001, and they thought it was a proper sacrifice to give up freedom and privacy in exchange for security. Other things happened since 2013, and that was a societal shift to a tolerance of the surveillance capitalism methods of Facebook, Google, and other companies. And instead of outrage, we see now that people have become blasé about the topic of privacy. I know this specifically because this is what I talk about all the time. I can't even go to a public gathering and talk freely about privacy without being labeled as paranoid, and I'm sure many of you who follow me have a similar experience. The point of Snowden's sacrifice was to illuminate our understanding of the threat to our freedom by powers to be that are doing things that we did not vote for. Instead, these powers have evaded the laws, and today surveillance has increased since Snowden's time, not decreased. Let's discuss what has happened in this last decade and see how things have changed and see its effect on the Snowden legacy. Stay right there. A few months after the Snowden revelations, President Obama stated that the USA is not spying on ordinary people. Do you believe in your elected officials? This is one of the biggest lies there is, and it doesn't matter if the president is a Republican or Democrat, they will say the same thing. As early as 2015, a federal appeals court ruled that one of the NSA programs, I believe it was PRISM, which was a metadata collection of phone data, was ruled as illegal. Illegal because it is not within the purview of the NSA nor the CIA to gather data about U.S. citizens. So you think this might have given us a reprieve from government surveillance? But just to focus on telephone metadata tracking alone, back in 1994, Congress passed the CALEA law, the Communications Assistant for Law Enforcement Act. Though this law was passed in 1994, it took some time for this to get implemented in the way that it's operating today. Now the equipment at the carrier side is equipped to do instant wiretapping. There is no need for any kind of physical tampering. Additionally, all the metadata about calls are collected and stored. One of the databases for this is the FBI DCSNet, Digital Collection System Network. This network is basically a point-and-click interface created for law enforcement to access the data collected from all carriers and US-based voice-over IP providers. It allows for real-time wiretapping and interception of SMS messages as well as access to all the data about who's calling whom. So basically, the legal justification of the surveillance just changed hands. Nothing has changed. You might think that only the FBI has access to this data. The FBI does have different rules for processing data because they are subject to the rules of the courts. However, just to remind you, right before Obama left office, he authorized U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies warrantless access to raw communications data that has been collected. Though this was meant to apply to foreign targets, the reality as shown by Snowden is just by showing communications with any non-US entity, any US person can be the subject of surveillance. Now here's the other lie that Obama and every elected official said. They said that no one spies on you as a US person, but they hide with flowery words. The reality is that data is collected not just from phones, but the entire internet through a bulk data collection process, which I will explain more. The data is stored in massive NSA databases, one of which is in the Utah Data Center, and several more being built or have already been built. There is no doubt that the data is being collected on everything you and I do on the internet. The claim is that unless they specifically search for you in their database, then you're officially not spied on. Here's the other reality I want to share with you. An entity like the FBI has to be careful about how they search for your data to avoid running astray of the Fourth Amendment, which bans unreasonable search and seizure without a warrant. An intelligence agency, however, is not surveilling you for evidence in an indictment. As long as the data is not used as court evidence, how could they run afoul of the Fourth Amendment? I'm no lawyer, but this is a reasonable expectation. Now you might ask what the purpose of such surveillance can be. Well, if an intelligence agency has information on actions of particular people, like important people, can it use that as an extortion or blackmail tool to exert influence? It should be apparent today that there is some deep state. Snowden said there is a deep state, and that this embedded element of government may have an agenda that is not the same as the agenda of the electorate. Let me go deeper into the toolset of the government to intrude upon your private information. This toolset has expanded since the time of Snowden. Snowden's revelations are 10 years old now, so you have to assume that things have progressed. First, there appears to be a stronger partnership between industry and government in relation to surveillance. This was already happening during Snowden's time. Snowden himself was hired by a subcontractor for the NSA, Booz Allen Hamilton. And this will be a big theme here. Many data collection schemes are initiated by industry, specifically big tech. But the big users of the data are the government agencies. This data is not provided for free, so there's an economic motive to continue this. There's also the political cover from industry doing the spying. There's no law to prevent Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple from spying on you all they want. They're private companies, so no congressional authority will have a say in the abuse of such data collection by intelligence agencies, since they did not initiate the data collection. And certainly the Patriot Act allows them full access. You will find this in all the privacy terms of service of all the big tech platforms, unless required by law. So here are some examples of this deep private-public partnership. Ring cameras have been installed by many of you, but it is no secret that the Ring camera data is uploaded to the Amazon cloud and is shared with the government. In fact, the law enforcement agencies promote the use of Ring cameras because it basically gives them public camera access. If you're jogging in your neighborhood, then the government can happily track you via facial recognition as you move around. Amazon, in fact, maintains a facial recognition database for use by government. The FBI shares facial recognition data using a system called FACE, Facial Analysis, Comparison, and Evaluation. Apple iPhones have become the recipient of the most advanced technology so far, and this technology allows government to beat end-to-end encryption. This tech is called client-side scanning. It means Apple can set some rules to search for specific content, and the AI in the phones will search for this type of content automatically and then send an alert to Apple HQ. Apple just recently announced another layer of interpretation of this technology. Your phone will automatically detect nudity in messages passed to your phone and alert you at the device level. A completely unnecessary tech when they could easily block via iCloud. But though there are alternative technologies to implement this away from your phone, it is built this way because it means advanced capability to spot any content in any phone. In case you think you can hide this content if the phone is not connected to the internet, think again. Apple now has the capability to communicate with the phone even with the phone being off via Bluetooth BLE and using the Apple Mesh network. The same technology for Apple AirTags. This, of course, also gives Apple instant location tracking whether on or off. We know Google devices track you 24/7, or maybe some of you still deny that this happens. But in case you're wondering, various court cases now show documentation that all locations are recorded and stored in the Google Sensor Vault. And the government is a big user of this Sensor Vault, using it for geofencing warrants. At least selectively. 940 plus people have been charged so far in the January 6 Capitol riots based on geofencing warrants. Many of you have found that voice-activated technology is liberating, as shown by the popular use of Siri and Alexa technologies. Various justifications have been given for the safety of these listening devices, including statements saying you can delete the data or the voice data is local. But the reality is again tainted by disinformation to confuse you all. Is the deletion of data referring to the transcription of the voice or the voice data itself? Amazon and Google state specifically that they keep the voice data for some unexplained period of time, like forever. Apple claimed to keep it for 6 months. And then we're back to the unless required by law statement and the difference between voice and transcription. I'm telling you that this is a great new source of bulk intelligence data. Like location, voice data was data not available in this detail during Snowden's time. Actually, a WikiLeaks dump showed that the CIA was using a Samsung TV to listen to you. So there were other sources of data. However, Alexa has definitely made it easier. Aside from the content of your conversations being captured, Snowden later revealed the voice print capability. Basically, the intelligence community is able to identify who was speaking on the internet or on a phone anywhere in the world by recognizing the unique signature of a voice. Now, this potentially poses a legal problem for the intelligence community. Listening and recording phone conversations in the USA is technically illegal without a warrant. Of course, this can now be circumvented by Alexa recordings, which we freely allow in the terms of service with Amazon. But here are some legalistic workarounds. Is the voice signature biometric really a recording in the same sense? It doesn't record a conversation per se, it just creates a unique identifier. This apparently is a very high-level, super secret capability of the intelligence agencies. Think about this though. If a private company stores and maintains voice prints of every person on Earth, wouldn't that protect intelligence agencies from congressional investigations? I'm telling you, this private-public partnership is more significant than one first realizes. It provides political cover. Throughout the USA, especially in large cities like Los Angeles, surveillance cameras now abound. Cameras are on the freeways, intersections, and many spots, and the data is collected and managed for active surveillance. Sometimes the cameras are used for facial recognition, sometimes it's used for license plate recognition. The big tech firm Palantir, for example, contracted with Los Angeles police to use the data from these surveillance devices to track the movements of certain people in LA who might be potential gang members. And these people were harassed by the police, stopping them without cause to intimidate them. This was publicly revealed in an article in the Los Angeles Times. Also revealed post-Snowden was where the actual bulk collection of internet data was occurring. It turns out that the private-public partnership was between AT&T and the government. AT&T uses a process called peering, where they accept traffic from other internet service providers and route them cross-country through their centralized network. They have peering stations identified in an article in The Guardian. There were 8 AT&T locations that were singled out, and these had hidden closets and windowless buildings. There was also an interception workflow where, depending on keywords spoken or found in the internet, certain data would be bulk collected and forwarded to the appropriate intelligence database. Now there's a lot more. Obviously, social media collects extreme amounts of data, which average people willingly share, so it makes it easier for surveillance to increase. Facebook and other big tech platforms collect not just your personal details, but relationships, connections, and locations. It is basically impossible to hide anything. In fact, in the future, suspicion might be created in reverse by the absence of data. So in summary, the mass surveillance since Snowden's revelation has increased, not decreased. Snowden, I think, made the move to expose this to make us more aware and resist. Instead, by the privacy marketing of Apple, Google, and Facebook, we're actually led to believe that everything is fine. Snowden must have been a conspiracy theorist. Do young people today even know what Snowden did and what he represented? Snowden basically gave up his freedoms for us. He's a hero, and let's not forget that. Let's not make his sacrifices be for naught. There is a way to protect ourselves still. Much of the data collection has now shifted so that mass surveillance is now conducted by private industry. And through various techniques I discuss in many videos, I show that the data you pass to big tech can be reduced and eliminated. There is still a way to fight back. Increasing our privacy, especially against big tech, is our new way to defend against mass surveillance. I'm no criminal. I just have a simple goal. If I haven't committed any crime, leave me the zuck alone. My company is focused on providing solutions to help you all maintain your privacy. We have the Brax2 privacy phone, which is basically an invisible phone. It cannot be tracked by big tech. We also have the Google Pixel phones. We have Bytes VPN, which is a stealthy VPN that doesn't scream that you're on a VPN and not crowding thousands of you on a single server. We have BraxMail, which allows you to use email without any metadata and comes with 5 domains. No one will know where the mail came from. These products and others are on my store on BraxMe. Please visit us there. The link is in the description. Thank you as always for watching, and see you later.